Hey, this is Brent Porset, the @TopVelocity hashtag pitching tips show. This is season 2. If you haven't been watching, this is like episode 12. Been answering a lot of good questions. Also have season 1 that went on forever. A lot of good quality content in season 1. So if you have a question, just ask it here. We're going to answer it on the show as best we can, really teaching you the top velocity methods, what we do here at Top Velocity. Let's get started. Our first question for the day is, how do I get rid of tricep pain? I don't really have it when I throw, more after the inning. In between inning, it gets a lot of warming up for it to go away. So it's kind of how they work. Overuse injuries work. If the more I throw, the less the pain I feel. It's just mainly just wear and tear from bad movements, really, what we call pathomechanics. So what's happening is you're probably too rotational. And when guys that are too rotational and they're landing to the open side, to keep their arms moving forward, they have to extend their elbows, okay? Because their arm wants to come with their trunk, wants to come across the zone, but it starts pulling the ball across the zone. So to keep the ball in the zone, you have to keep your arm moving forward. So you have to start extending your elbow. And those guys also, it kills a lot of pronation. But if those guys were staying closed and their trunk was coming around late, they would go earlier into pronation and they wouldn't have to go into elbow extension. So what happens is those guys that are landing more closed get to pronate into deceleration, and the guys that fly open have to extend their elbows in deceleration. Well, that's where all the tricep pain's coming from, is you extending your elbow every time at that really aggressive accelerated moment of your arm, and that wear and tear starts to beat down your arm. And of course, the more you do it, the more the blood flow kind of handles with the inflammation, the pain goes away. But then once you're out of the activity, you start to feel the soreness again, and you start to feel the wear and tear again. So it does help to get your triceps stronger, but you do got to work on those mechanical problems. You got to start landing close and getting pronated. And I even tell guys that just start trying to pronate more at release. I mean, it's going to be very hard to pull open and pronate. They don't work together. They kind of go against each other. But stay closed and try to pronate, and you'll actually feel the pain immediately leave your arm. Also, good little drills are football drills. Just don't throw them like traditional footballs where you push your elbow. Keep your elbows to the side like a baseball and feel pronation into your throws. And getting that forearm movements out of the footballs, putting that in the baseballs, all of a sudden you start to feel that tricep pain go away. So hopefully that fixes it. A lot of guys I've worked with, that really helps to get that tricep pain. But you're in wear or tear, sometimes you just got to get out and let it heal and then try to improve your mechanics. And that's a lot of what happens in your off seasons. You let it heal, you start working on better mechanics, and all of a sudden you stop doing that and it goes away. That's why it's like, how come this year I've got tricep pain and I didn't experience this last year? You probably picked up some bad mechanics. You're probably pulling and yanking and having to force extend your elbow. All right, good question. Next question. We got, how would you differentiate 3X pitching from pushing, jumping off the mound in regards to the back leg? Yeah, you know, understanding triple extension can be difficult. What it is, it's the extension of the ankle, the knee, and the hip flexor. And ultimately, get your hip flexor to extend, you're in rotation. So really, triple extension is defining full rotation and extension of the leg. And why that's our foundation is because that's what we build our power off of. The better we can triple extend, even though we might not fully achieve it because we might have some mobility restrictions, but the better we can triple extend, the more power in our lower half, and if we can separate into that, the more power we harness into the ball. So it's the ultimate goal of what we're trying to achieve. And if someone's jumping, they're not really fully hip extending. They're probably, what happens is their shin angles stay too vertical. They don't get linear before leg drive, and they're actually creating their forces too early and they're jumping off the mound. And what happens is you don't get a lot of the hip extension at the end. And but at the end of the day, it's not that much of a negative. You know, you've seen pitchers like back in the day, like Jordan Walden, you know, even Carter Capps, those guys that were jumpers that threw very hard as jumpers, because all that ground force is still moving into the ball. You know, it's a little bit harder to harness it. You know, the timing's a little awkward, but there's still a lot of better potential there, as opposed to just someone just rotating. If someone's just swiveling and rotating, they're not creating enough ground force through their lower half to really push up the chain. And all the studies show the more ground force you push up the kinetic chain, the healthier you're on your arm, the less forces you're having to create out of your arm. So it's really not a negative to jump. It's probably more a negative just to be a pure rotator than it is to be a jumper. because of all the added energy you're putting into your movement. You're also getting closer to the hitter. And you know, you're also, if you're not pulling early, if you're not glove side early, you're staying behind the ball longer, you're pronating longer. And when the more pronation you get, the better spins you're gonna get. So it is hard to understand triple extension. And you're not gonna see every pitcher doing it. Like I said, it's an elite movement that we're all ideally trying to achieve. It's like a gold standard we're trying to achieve, and not everybody can achieve it. But it's definitely something you should strive for in this skill to master the skill. If you can master triple extension, you can ultimately master the skill. Now, can you maintain triple extension? That's the whole other level to it. But that's the goals, and that's what we teach here at Top Velocity. So if you want to learn this lower half, if you want to learn the triple extension, you want to learn to master triple extension, you want to learn all the benefits for triple extension, that's what our training does, and it's something that's really hard to develop. The med balls help us really apply it well. The King of the Hills help us apply it well. The sleds help us apply it well. The Olympic lifting help us apply it well. So we have to do a lot of training to actually be able to apply it well as a pitcher, because it's something that's a gold standard, like I said, we're all working for to achieve. Therefore, it's hard to apply, it's hard to understand. So usually something that's hard to understand is hard to apply, but that's the focus here at Top Velocity. So if you want to learn how to do that, come check out our camps, TopVelocity.org. We got camps all year long where you can come in and you can get into these methods and start developing that to become an elite pitcher. So if you have any questions, ask them here. We'll put them up on the show, and keep them coming. Love the questions. We'll see you in the next episode.